What's that? Radhe 108. It was just changed. Radhe 108. Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Daite Ukula Taruni Mandala Maite.
Is some connection? Okay, what we can do now, what we have to do now.
We already have connection with her.
Okay, we have connection. Then I can take it out, yeah?
Just hold on, in case. Hold on to the end of class, in case we have a problem. Jayo Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe Radha Damodar. Oh, I know what we can do. I want to use your phone and record this.
I want to do like this.
We'll bring it up here.
You audio or video?
Audio. I'm going to plug in my recorder. Well, let's hold on, everyone. We're making serious changes here. Just hit your record button. Radha Dhamma. Anybody have a hairband they could sponsor so I could tie this up? That's what Yasoda tied up Krishna with. A hair tie. Yeah. Now I need an engineer to figure out how you're going to get the hair tie on this. Because...
Do you need this thread?
Hold on, everyone. I think if we take this out, put it over this, go all the way down, bring it down, 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 down. And we'll put this up. Okay. We are totally unprepared today. Now, okay, that's perfect. I sent you an email. I was sleeping about 4 hours every night for like 5 nights in a row. And I just was very tired this morning. So I was like exhaustion. You understand? Exhaustion? I was staying up very late, getting up very early every day. And then the body said, it's time to collapse. The body said, you need more sleep. And so, okay. So, we're going to discuss some philosophy around the Lila. Some of this we discussed in earlier classes. A lot of you weren't here. So, first point we're discussing is, in the Damodar Lila, does Krishna have a flute? Does Krishna have a flute when he's young, when he's a little boy? How many say yes? Raise your hand. How many say no? How many say Krishna always has a flute? And how many say he doesn't have a flute when he's a baby? And how many don't know? Well, you'll find out. Oh. How am I getting home?
I don't know, you're the only one with the keys.
Oh, to the house. Oh.
Ask everything. Call me when you need to be picked up.
7:30. I don't... Yeah, you can just come at 7:30?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. All of you who said Krishna always has his flute, even when he's a baby, are 100% wrong. Congratulations. At least you got 100% in something. Do you remember when the devotee said to Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen, and Prabhupada said, you're not the most anything? Well, sometimes we try to become significant by being the worst. So you will get your significance by being 100% wrong. Krishna doesn't carry his flute when he's young.
Does he have one?
I mean, in his closet that he doesn't take?
Well, perhaps I'm getting too esoteric that he's...
Maybe, we'll find out. It said the flute is his constant companion, so that would lead you to believe that he always has it, right?
But Krishna is not royal in Dwarka, he doesn't have flute.
Well, that's not Krishna. That's Dwarkadish. In Raghunath Das Goswami's Manasiksha, he refers to Krishna as Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. That's how he refers to it. That's the Krishna he's talking about. Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. That Krishna. That's the Krishna. So the Dwarkadish Krishna, no, he doesn't have a flute. And the Vrindavan Krishna is Radha and Krishna Vrindavan. As Prabhupada said, that Krishna without Radha is not very attractive. So Shivaram Swami says, in Sukadeva Goswami's narration of the Damodar Lila, there's no flute. There's no mention of a flute. So Shivaram Swami was wondering, because you will see paintings of baby Krishna with a flute. Have you seen those? You've seen?
Depends. Which age you are?
Like really baby? You've never seen?
Yeah, in Raj, everywhere Krishna is flute and was part of
He started again.
flute somewhere.
When he's a baby.
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember.
When he started going out with cows, that time he had a flute.
Yeah. But there are some paintings with him with the flute. The first mention of the flute in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam takes place after the Brajbasis have moved from Goloka to Vrindavan. Sukadeva Goswami says, sometimes Krishna and Balaram would play on their flutes. One implication is, prior to this, he didn't play on his flute. In other words, he had it, but he didn't play it. Right? Because it says he started playing on his flute when they moved to Vrindavan.
From underground means he moved to Vrindavan from...
Goloka to Vrindavan.
There are no flute on Goloka? There are no flute on Goloka?
Why not? Yeah, of course. So, it seems that this is when he started playing the flute, when he was in Vrindavan, older boy. Garga Samhita also introduces the flute at the same time, during the prelude to the bewilderment of Brahma. So, like you say, he's out with the cowherd boys. And he would play his flute, call the cows, right? Accurately speaking, it appears that Bhagavatam introduces the flute at the end of Krishna's childhood, but in Vrindavan, not in Gokul. Prabhupada confirms that at the end of his childhood, Krishna had and played flutes. At the end of his Kumara age, he played with the cowherd boys, about the same age, etc., and he had a flute. In the Ananda Vrindavan Champu, chapter 7, there's a reference. Kavi Karnapur describes that Krishna began to play the flute after the killing of Bakasura, a pastime that preceded the bewildering of Brahma. The Acharya says, at this time, after killing Bakasura, Krishna accepted the flute as his dearest musical instrument. So, how old was he at Bakasura? Anybody know? But he was with the cowherd boys then, right? When he killed Bakasura?
Small Krishna.
But he was herding the cows. So, sometime after herding the cows. Krishna accepted the flute as his dearest musical instrument. He astonished the people of Vrindavan with the incredible artistry and expertise of his flute playing. So, when Krishna went to school, he was taught the 64 arts, but he learned them like that because he already knows them. So, just picks up the flute and starts playing. It's not astonishing. So the gopis, they say, Krishna, your lips that previously tasted only your mother's breast milk now relish the soft notes of your flute. Which guru has taught you to play so sweetly? Okay. So now, your question. The question you asked, where was the flute? Or you asked it. Did he have the flute in his closet? Was it there, but he just didn't play it? Or did it just manifest at this Bakasura Lila? So where was the flute? In describing Krishna's birth in Gokul, Kavi Karnapur gives the answer. As a child, all of Krishna's paraphernalia was not visible, despite being present in unmanifested forms. So it wasn't even in the closet. It just wasn't manifest yet because he didn't need it. Had they been manifest, their presence would either conflict with devotional mellows or with the chronology of his unfolding pastimes. So they were present, but they weren't manifested. That's the idea. Is that okay? Joy, dur joy. If you have a question, it should be about what we're talking, that you can chat it in there. Otherwise, you can send me a question separately on Facebook. The Acharya writes, thereafter, in fear of Kamsa, Vasudev brought Vasudev Krishna to Gokul. There the Supreme Lord appeared as Govinda before Nanda and Yasoda, his eternal parents. The four symbols of Vishnu, Sankha, Chakra, Gada, and Padma, adorned his hands and feet. The flute, flower garland, and Kaustuba gem, although present within him, had not yet manifested. Present within him. That's interesting. So Kavi Karnapur states that just as Krishna's eternal Vajayanti flower garland was present with him from birth in an unmanifest state, so it was with the flute. And just as the Vajayanti became a visible part of Krishna's daily ornament at a certain time, so the flute became manifest at the juncture of childhood and boyhood. Now there's another question. What about baby Krishna playing the flute in the waters of devastation? You've seen that painting? While it may make a nice painting, Markandeya Rishi's vision of that baby in Bhagavatam makes no mention of a flute. Apparently there's a painting, baby Krishna in the water of devastation, and he has a flute. In this scene, we see Krishna does not play a flute. Instead, his lotus lips are busy sucking his toe. Have you seen that picture?
On the leaf.
Yeah, picture on a leaf, and he's sucking his toe. Having thus considered the evidence above, my decision was not to include the flute in this book. In other words, in the paintings, he didn't put any flute with Krishna. It may have become fashionable to depict or describe the baby, Lord with it, but there does not seem to be evidence for such a conception. Rather, evidence indicates that only after the pastime of Jasoda binding Krishna and his felling of the Arjuna trees did the Lord manifest his flute and began to enchant with its songs the moving and non-moving entities in Vrindavan. Okay. Okay. Yes. Now, there's another section. We discussed this a little bit, but it would be nice to discuss again. This is a commentary on Krishna's fear of his mother, which is interesting because, as we talked about, it seems like Krishna's acting just to arouse affection in his mother and all the devotees that see the Lila and all the devotees that are going to hear the Lila. That's what it seems like. At least that's the way I always thought of it. Like, Krishna always acts in a way that would attract the devotees. So he acts like a baby, and sometimes even our scriptures say he's acting like a child. He's not a child, but he's acting like it. So what we learned from studying the Lila is not exactly like he's acting like a child, but he's completely becoming a child. So he doesn't have to act. It's just, he's doing it naturally. How can it be said that Krishna experienced fear of Mother Yasoda? Was it not a dramatic performance? That's what we... Do you all think like that? Do you think like that?
Sometimes. I'm wondering.
Yeah. It seems like it, that he's just doing this to attract his devotees. That's what it seems like. But it's not true. The answer is no. Krishna was not play acting when sitting atop of the mortar. He was shivering in fear of his mother. And as the story goes, he was sitting on top of the mortar and he was feeding the monkeys the stolen butter. And he was looking left and he was looking right to see if his mother was coming because he was afraid. And then later on we read what happened was when Yasoda went after Krishna, she saw him in the courtyard doing his mischief, and she went down the stairs, and on the stairway was Nanda Maharaj's cane, so she picked it up. Spontaneously tried to scare him, and when he saw the cane, the stick, he was really afraid. And that comes up in the Lila, this stick. Every time he sees her with the stick or thinks about her with the stick, he becomes fearful because this is his mother. I mean, wouldn't you be fearful if your mother had a stick? Yeah.
If you had done something wrong.
Something's wrong. Prabhu, my mother always had a stick. You see these scars on my shoulder? Now, the topic of transcendental fear, as it is perceived by devotees, can be introduced by asking the question, why do devotees fear after Krishna or after Krishna's well-being when they know that he is infallible, eternal, and fearless? Upon hearing the crying of jackals in Vrindavan forest, Mother Yasoda would keep a close eye on Krishna, fearing that he might be attacked. So now we're talking about fear, Mother Yasoda's fear. So this is an ecstatic symptom, a sub-symptom. There are 5 direct and 7 indirect symptoms, and fear is one of them. So we should know that such fear has a unique characteristic. Unlike ordinary fear, in which one can recall past and contemplate the future, the only time frame a devotee knows in ecstatic apprehension is the present. There is no past or future. This in part explains why, even though Yasoda may have recognized Krishna's divinity when she saw the universe in his mouth, and why, even though she had seen his inestimable power when killing the demons like Putana, she still feared for him. She had forgotten those events of the past. So, in order for fear to be able to manifest rasa, you have to forget anything that happened in the past. You have to forget that Krishna lifted a mountain or killed a demon. And you have to forget the potential of what he could do in the future. And they're just absorbed in that moment right there, in the present, which is, he's my son and he's in danger. And that's all you can remember. That's all you can think about, is that moment. That one moment. That's it. And therefore you can be absorbed in fear. Because if you could remember, as soon as there's fear, you would say, well, why worry? He killed Kaliya, he chastised Kaliya, he killed so many demons, he lifted a mountain. Gargamuni said this and that. So there wouldn't be any fear. So in order for fear to manifest, there has to be forgetfulness. Right? For the devotee. The effect of such a limited time perspective makes devotees worry after Krishna. Worry invokes the sentiment of fear. And fear invokes a sense of potential loss. That inspires feelings of possessiveness. The end result is that loving devotion is nurtured. So, Krishna is mine. That is the difference between, you say, I am Krishna's, that's one stage of bhakti. Higher stage, in love, it's Krishna is mine. That's a higher stage. So, fear means you might lose Krishna. So you're in the bhav, Krishna is mine, right? And then the fear makes you think, oh no, what's going to happen to Krishna? I might lose him. So it heightens the love. I just read a story this morning about separation, because this is separation. Something happened. Devotee did something. I forget what he did. And Radharani came to him. He lived in Vrindavan. He said, you're not qualified to live in Vrindavan. Get out of Vrindavan. He had the wrong mood or whatever about something in Vrindavan. And Radharani told him to leave Vrindavan. And he couldn't leave Vrindavan. It was too painful for him. And so he was in total anxiety. And he was sitting in meditation, and his body caught on fire. And his whole body burned, and he died. And I think it might have been Gaura Das Babaji or Jagannath Das Babaji. When he saw that, he said, separation. He said, this was separation. His body burnt in the fire of separation. Is that amazing? Can you imagine that? Separation is so intense and painful that your body burns. That's incredible. Isn't it? Yeah. Wow. So, fear is an emotion which would cause separation, and I might lose Krishna. Another characteristic of loving devotion is its ability to blind devotees to Krishna's divinity, even when such divinity is being manifest before their very eyes. This blinding influence exemplified in parental love can be seen in Devaki Devi. When Krishna first took birth in Kamsa's prison, he manifested his full divinity. Forearm Narayana. Narayana. And despite the fact that Devaki knew that her son was Lord Narayan, and thus Kamsa couldn't kill him, right? Devaki worried that Krishna would be killed by him. Did you ever consider that? He manifests as Vishnu, and now she's saying, well, the omen was that Kamsa would be killed by Vishnu, so he's going to try to kill you, so assume a different form. So she's worried that even though he's God, he could be killed. That means she forgot he's God. She has to forget. For that emotion to be there, she has to forget. And our whole, the whole basis of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy is on forgetting that Krishna's God. Because the level of bhakti, the highest level of bhakti, can't manifest if you know he's God. Right? Correct? Am I right? You have to forget that he's God to love him in that intensity. Gopkumara, it's a story of Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Gopkumara was a cowherd boy, and he was going through the universe, and he came to Vaikuntha. And he saw Lord Narayan, and he said, "Hey, Gopal!" And they all said, "Shh." They all brought him over and said, "You can't call him Gopal. That's not proper. You can't do that here." That's not, he comes into the material world and he acts as Gopal, but he's not Gopal, he's Narayan. You can't, he was getting chastised. And Raghunath Das Goswami says, amazingly, this is amazing. I don't know if you'll understand this, but he said, one of the anarthas to bhakti is the desire to go to Vaikuntha, to worship Lord Narayan. That's an anartha. Because if you go there, there's no love on the level of the inhabitants of Braj, that love. It doesn't exist there. So that's actually, you call it an anartha or you call it an impediment. It's an impediment to bhakti. To want to worship Lord Narayan or love Lord Narayan is an impediment to Braj Bhakti. Is that amazing that he said that? Huh. So here's a shloka from Bhagavatam. Understanding that his parents were becoming aware of his transcendental opulences, the Supreme Personality of Godhead thought that this should not be allowed to happen. Thus he expanded his yoga maya, which bewilders his devotees. So we had talked about this. Because if a devotee in any way senses that Krishna's God, it will reduce their love. So he'll never allow that to happen. And if it does happen, he'll immediately cover it. I don't know if we could give an example in the material world. Perhaps we could give an example. Let's say I was super famous. So I'm a super famous rock star. Mahatma. Oh my God, you're Mahatma. I love your music. Can I have your autograph? Can I touch you? Can I shake your hand? So if you know I'm Mahatma, and then you say, I love you, I say, I don't believe it. Because you love my image, right? So, let's say I'm, 25, I'm not married, and I'm Mahatma, this super famous rock star. And I walk around, with sunglasses and, whatever. I make myself look different, and I just act like an ordinary person. And I meet this girl, and I really like her, and she really likes me. I don't want her to know I'm Mahatma, because I want to know if she likes me for who I am. So she says, what do you do? And I say, well, actually, I'm unemployed right now. And I'm a college dropout. And, I play some music in nightclubs. I'm not very popular. And, is it really? Oh, I like musicians. She really likes that. So I don't want her to know, because it spoils it all if she knows who I am. Then the love gets reverential. I was just reading this morning, Bhaktivedanta Maharaj was saying, when the young girls saw the Beatles, they exhibited all ecstatic symptoms, like screaming, rolling on the ground, hair standing on end. Tearing their hair out. Well, the example I gave, it's a little different, because it's one example. Krishna doesn't want you to love him because he's God. That's one example, but he wants you to love him. But he knows that if you know he's God, you can't. The love will take the shape of respect and service, and it'll diminish the love. And he doesn't like that. And the other forms that Krishna takes, like Narayan, it's to reciprocate with those who want to worship him that way. But his preference is to be Krishna and Braj. That's what he likes. Just like when Krishna was at Kurukshetra and Radharani was there, she was saying, you've got all these horses around you and all these ministers, and you're dressed like a king and all these people. It's like, this doesn't work for me. We can't. There's no rasa here. I can't. Everything is like it's the season. The full moon is out. It's like the season that we have rasa dance. But all this other stuff, it doesn't work. So that shows how when Krishna leaves that position and just becomes a coward boy, then the rasa can manifest. But when he's in this kingly position, it can't manifest in the same way. It manifests in a different way to satisfy the devotees who have that relationship. Right? Yes? You understand? Now, this is such an interesting conversation for us because we don't love Krishna. So when we hear this, what are we supposed to think? Go up to the deity and give him a slap in the face. You naughty boy, you were stealing yogurt today.
I did that with my deities one time. I was so angry. I banged on the table and they was jumping, and then in that moment I realized, oh my God, what are you doing?
Hare Krishna. That wasn't one of the 7 subsequent ecstasies of rasas. So there's a story about, I think it was Gorkishore Das Babaji. Some young boys were making fun of him. And he saw everything as Krishna's arrangement. Like everything that happens, Krishna's arranging it. It's all divine arrangement. So these boys, I think they're like even spitting on him, doing something mischievous and disturbing. And when that was happening, he said, Krishna, you better stop this or I'll tell Mother Yasoda on you. That was his response. I'm going to complain to Mother Yasoda. So when you're on that level, you're on that level. And when you're not on that level, you're not on that level. That was a profound statement, wasn't it? You understand? So when you're on that level, that's how you act. So the question is to ask, should we act that way? If you have to ask the question, the answer is always no. Because if you're on that level, then you wouldn't ask the question. Because your emotion would be that that's how you would act. But externally, you would act like do your sadhana and act reverentially. But internally, it would be different. So if you have to ask the question, should I act that way, the answer is no. Because someday you will act that way. You will forget Krishna's God. A relationship in which a devotee anticipates that Krishna will fall into a dangerous situation is called dread. Transcendental fear is the ecstatic foundation of how devotees react to a dreadful situation. Because fear is the basis of dread, apprehensive situations naturally invoke fear. Fear is thus not only the constitutional ecstasy of the mellow of dread, it's also subsequent ecstasy, or anubhava. So dread creates fear. And it's an ecstatic symptom. It's a kind of ecstasy. Because you think you'll lose Krishna. And dread is common in parenthood, because you're always worried about your child. So, these are called indirect transcendental mellows. There's 5 direct. Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakyaras, Vatsalyaras, Madhuryaras. Those are stable. They don't change. But these change. They come and go. These are indirect rasas, which nourish the direct rasas. Direct rasa is called sthayi bhav. Sthayi means stationary, stable. In the example of Mother Yasoda worrying after Krishna, her eternal maternal relationship is the shelter of the occasional sense of fear that she feels for him. Servitorship, parentalhood, and conjugality are the most likely host to the mellow of dread. That means friendship is least likely. The least likely. The devotees in Sakyaras are least likely to be fearful. You see that in Krishna's Lila, right? But walk into Agasura because Krishna will protect us. They have no fear. Generally. While all pure devotees will fear after Krishna, it is often found that women and children most readily do so. The cause of devotees becoming fearful is when they sense some danger befalling Krishna. Such danger may be of at least 3 kinds. The presence of a horrible form of a demon, like Putana, the display of an antagonistic nature of his adversary, like Sishupal, and the immense power of Krishna's opponent, like Indra. Yes. Hare Krishna. Because love is the foundation of such fear, the greater the love, the greater the fear. Some demons like Kamsa also fear Krishna, but they have no love. Their fear is not spiritual. And it fails to qualify as a divine mellow. So, if you're afraid of God, but you're not situated in rasa, that fear is not considered a mellow of devotion. It's just material. The only advantage is it makes you think of Krishna. But you're not thinking of Krishna in a loving way. So it's not the best, but it's better than not thinking of Krishna. You know, the atheists, they're always thinking of God. Did you know that? The atheists are more obsessed with God than the religionists. Because nothing in this world to them makes sense that there would be a God, because there's so many bad things. And religious people do so many bad things. Right? So, yes. You agree? A host of symptoms are seen to appear in devotees when they become fearful. These symptoms are perceived in their behavior, in their appearance and emotional state. Sattvika bhavas, existential ecstasies, are symptomatic of devotees' behavior. Such behavioral ecstasies are paralysis, perspiration, and fainting, like when Krishna was caught in the clutches of Kaliya, everyone fainted. The sub-ecstasies, anubhavas, are transformations of a devotee's appearance. Sattvika bhavas are their behavior, anubhavas of their appearance, such as expansion of the cheeks and dilation of the eyes. So, this is all described by Rupa Goswami in Nectar Devotion. And he's describing, it's called rasa theory. He's describing how will you know who loves Krishna by what symptoms. And so this is describing bodily symptoms. It's like become a science. You know. It's kind of interesting. I don't think anyone's done this in the material world about love. You know, when your eyes dilate, it means this, and when you smile this way, it means this. And that's basically what's being done. Finally, the transitory ecstasies, vyabhichari bhavas, reflect emotional transformations, including illusion, anger, and agitation. Behavior, how you act, appearance, what you look like, and emotions, how you feel. Those are some of the ways ecstasy manifests. An example of the visible aggregate, that means the total, of these three ecstasies is when out of fear for Krishna, devotees glance here and there, conceal themselves, search after Krishna, or cry out a warning to him. All devotional mellows have a presiding deity as well as a characteristic color. Who knows the presiding deity of Vatsalya Ras? Who wants to guess? I'll give you a hint. They're saying that the people who become one of the people who are most inclined to fear are the elderly gopis. So, the deity that overcomes fear, who's that? Nrsingadev. So Nrsingadev is the deity of Vatsalya Rasa. Isn't that amazing? And what do you think the color is? You'll never guess the color. Yeah. Huh. It's explaining something else here. It's pink. As if I remember correctly. But here, it's describing something else. The presiding deity of dread, presiding deity of Vatsalya Rasa is Nrsingadev, and the presiding deity of dread is Lord Parshuram. He killed the Kshatriyas full of dread. Oh, no, I might be wrong. The characteristic color of dread is pink. Vatsalya Rasa may not have a color, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But the color of dread is pink, yes.
What is dread? Could you please?
Dread is like, it's a certain kind of fear.
Like impending fear. It hasn't quite manifested.
Yeah. I say, Lila Shakti, can you finish giving the class? I have to use the toilet. That's called, and you say, Lila Shakti is dreading having to give the class. Yeah. Impending fear. Yeah, that's the right definition. The fear that you feel not having done it, but thinking about doing it. It may not always be fear either. It just may be difficulty, right? I dread doing my laundry. Right? Maybe that's not the way they're using it here. Love of Krishna is the cause of the devotees' fear for him. Love for Krishna's devotees can also be the cause manifesting Krishna's fear of them. So here's a verse. Sri Radhika is the highest abode of love, and I am only its object. The Lord describes two concepts, the abode of love and the object of love, Ashraya and Vishaya. Perfect devotees like Sri Radha are repositories of love for Krishna. Thus it may be said, the flow of love is from the devotee towards Krishna. And as we have shown earlier, when devotees see him confronted by a dreadful situation, the outpouring of love results in fear for Krishna. But Krishna is not unresponsive to his devotees' love. And the flow of love is not unidirectional. Krishna responds to love, so the flow of love is reciprocal, in the way that it flows from devotees to Krishna, so it also flows from Krishna to his devotees. So that's a concept that sometimes is hard for us. I mean, we see it in Bhagavatam, but then we think of ourselves and we think, well, why would Krishna love us? We left him. We're rascals. Raise your hand if you think you're a rascal. Raise your hand if you think you're a double rascal. Triple rascal. Quadruple rascal, yes. Naturally, devotees think that if I don't love Krishna, why would he love me? So that's a misunderstanding. He'll love us more if we become Krishna conscious. The more we love him, the more he'll love us, because the more we will become lovable. In order to love somebody, they have to be lovable, right? Sometimes someone will say, nobody loves me. If you say nobody loves me, my question is, are you lovable? Why doesn't anyone love you? Are you not loved? Do you act in a way that nobody can love you? Some people act in that way. You know that? They act in a way and nobody can love them. You do something nice and they get upset at you or something. Well, I've been waiting for you to do something nice. It's about time. You never do anything nice. It's like, how can you love a person like that? Well, I better not do anything nice for you again, because if I do, I'll get chastised. Right? So, Krishna naturally loves us, but the more we become lovable, the more he'll love us. So, yes. And we had described earlier that these emotions, these ecstatic emotions of feelings, Krishna also experiences them. So he experiences fear. He experiences all these things in relation to his devotees. So, if you want Krishna to love you, become lovable. Yes? Lord Shingadev represents Vatsalyaras, parental love. If you want Krishna to love you, you have to become lovable too. So that's the goal of Krishna consciousness, is to become lovable. Right? Make yourself lovable to Krishna. Now, the nice meditation is that when something is difficult, or something you have to do you don't feel like doing, or something you feel like doing that you shouldn't do, when we confront that, we could see that as an opportunity to show Krishna my devotion. Rather than say, oh no, I don't want to do this. We could say, well, this is an opportunity to show my devotion by doing it. So Krishna will, if you think about it, Krishna will give you many opportunities to show devotion, right? There's many opportunities in the Krishna conscious movement to make sacrifice, right? Just like when we were young devotees, we were all hippies. 99.999999999% of everyone who joined ISKCON in those days was a hippie. And if somebody came to the temple who wasn't a hippie, we would say something, you sure you have the right place? You sure you want to be here? It's like for us, it's like, it's like, I don't really want to talk to you, because if you're not a hippie, it's like, you're just like something's wrong with you. So the first sacrifice the hippies made was when they move in the temple, they would shave their head. And now today, you might think shaving a head, everybody shaves their head. Shaving head's not a big thing. But in those days, the thing was to grow long hair. So nobody shaved their head except like military people. So really, you become a devotee, you look like a Marine or a military man. So that was a big sacrifice. So, but devotees would take it in a positive way. Say, okay, here's an opportunity to give up something I'm attached to. So I shave my head. So you take it in a positive way. I can show my devotion that way. So anything you're attached to, you give to Krishna, you show your devotion. Right? It's an opportunity. Rather than think, oh no, I have to give this up, you could think, well, it's an opportunity to show devotion. Oh, I don't feel like doing this. Well, now it's an opportunity. Now, there's another thing. One of the most interesting things about Krishna consciousness is what we think. And why is this interesting? Because as devotees, especially here living in Mayapur, living in a temple, we're pretty careful to act properly. Right? Because, number one, we're living in a dham, and number two, everyone's going to see you if you're doing something stupid. And it's embarrassing, right? But you're not going to walk around smoking a cigarette or smoking a joint or, in Mayapur. If you did, you'd go off and hide in a bush that nobody could find you. Of course, Krishna would arrange somebody would find you, because he always does. But the problem is, whatever we do in our minds, nobody can see. But you couldn't do anything you want in your mind, right? Isn't it? You can do anything in your mind. You can commit any sin in your mind, right? Well, that's because of our conditioning. We think about past enjoyment. Anything that was enjoyable in the past, it's enjoyable to the mind. So now it's, I can't do it, but it's still enjoyable. And I've given it up because I know it's better to not do it. But my mind still enjoys it. Sometimes the body doesn't enjoy it, but the mind does. Because the body suffers more. You do something and the body remembers the suffering, but the mind doesn't always remember the suffering. Or mind has a quality of forgetting. So sometimes in our mind, we want to do something that's not Krishna conscious. Have you experienced that? You ever think about doing something?
Never.
You dwell in your mind about doing something that's not Krishna conscious. Right? So, whenever you do that, whenever this happens, then it's an opportunity to give up something that's pleasing. Because we're thinking of something because it's pleasing to the mind. Right? You're daydreaming about something, thinking about, I'd like to do this, this beautiful beach on an island, walking alone with this perfect person, sipping coconuts, and then you catch yourself, oh my God. That's not such a bad thought. We probably have worse than that, like killing somebody or something. If I could, I would kill this person. But sometimes we catch ourselves thinking about sense gratification, material enjoyment, things which we'd like to do but are not really allowed, are not good for us. So at that point, it's an opportunity. You can think, here's an opportunity. I'm attached to thinking about this thought. If I give up thinking this thought, it shows my love for Krishna. I become more lovable. By giving up some thought that I love, I'll give that up and stop thinking about it. Because there's so many things that we don't do, but we love to think about. Because sometimes you get more pleasure from thinking about it than doing it. Have you noticed that? Sometimes, because if you think about it, you can do it any way you want, but actually doing it is the way it is. So you could imagine it in a different way. Right? That whole industry of pornography is based on this. That they get men imagining, that they're having a relation with some beautiful woman, and this guy's like 50 years old and fat and ugly, and that could never happen. So it's just a fantasy, right? So the mind can enjoy something that it couldn't enjoy in reality. And even if he enjoyed that in reality, and his wife found out, it would ruin him. So he enjoys it in his mind. So if you ever find yourself in that situation, you can think, let me give up this thinking. Because I enjoy it and I can give it up for Krishna. And so it becomes an opportunity to show devotion. Yes?
How is that regarding to offenses? Usually in Kali Yuga, when you commit offenses in the mind, it's not considered. But I feel when we purposely think of doing something like what is an aparat, there must be a reaction.
Yeah. Well, she's asking, it says in Kali Yuga, it says you don't experience sinful reaction for thinking. But you definitely experience a reaction. Because obviously anything you think of has an effect on you. Right? So even if I think of something and it's wrong, but I'm not going to suffer for it. I mean, let's say I think of killing somebody. That's going to affect me, don't you think? But I won't be held accountable for killing them because I didn't do it. But the result of thinking is contaminating me. Personally, my experience is if you think offensively of a devotee, that's Vaishnava aparadha. Because I think many of the, or maybe the majority of offenses we make to devotees are not spoken. They're in our minds. Now, Jiva Goswami says, when you speak it, it's much worse. It gains more power and potency. But if you have bad thoughts about someone, how could that not be offensive? So maybe on the level of sin, there's no reaction, but on the level of aparad, there is.
And while you're thinking these bad things, you're not remembering Krishna.
Yeah, exactly. While you're watching television, you're not remembering Krishna. You know, watching television is considered prajalpa. Did you know that? Yeah. Whenever you're not talking about Krishna, you're talking about something. Not thinking about Krishna, thinking about something. We're definitely affected by what we think. There'll definitely be reaction. Spiritually, for sure. Because it's a contaminating thought. You can't have a contaminating thought and not be contaminated by it. Right? That's just obvious. Nayato vishampansam. Okay. Now I'm meditating on something that I'd like to enjoy. Nayato vishampansam. And so what happens as a result of meditating? Sangat. You get attached. It's natural, you know. And if I think about how I don't like somebody, it's going to build up an intensity by thinking about it. My dislike will gain energy. But then I'm likely to say something or do something. Right? Does that make sense? So I would say the way you're being least affected by it is if when that thought comes, you learn how to let it go. Or dissipate it, dissolve it, reduce its intensity in some way. Then it's not going to affect you much. Because you could say that thought is a conditioned thought. It's not really what I want to think. Okay, so that's good. That's what we can accept that. It's not that you're consciously desiring to think this way. It's just a conditioned thought. But now that the thought's there, what do you do with it? Some thought pops up in my mind. It's nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. Some thought to do something sinful pops up in my mind. Now what do I do with it? So I like the thought. It's pleasing. Because the mind is a sense. And if you think of nice things, it gives you gratification, right? Yes? Da? So we can be enjoying in our minds all kinds of sense gratification. So if the thought comes up, that's one thing. In our stage, thoughts will come up. In a more advanced stage, thoughts of Krishna will come up. So if some thought comes up that's not Krishna conscious, then if you just let it go, don't deal with it, don't meditate on it, then it's not going to bother you. But when you catch it and contemplate it, it's just Maya's trick. Because you see, negativity is a attractive force. We're very attracted to negative. Negative things have more attracting power generally than positive things. Anger tends to be stronger than like appreciation, a positive emotion. More intense. So one of the ways Maya tricks us is she gets us absorbed in something negative, and it absorbs us more and more and more. But this devotee did this, and that's wrong, and that's bad. We got to talk about this. I can't go to sleep tonight. This is on my mind. We got to do something. Get on the internet. So it has the power to take you away from thinking about Krishna. Now, what the devotee did may be wrong, but the way you process it, now it absorbs you. That's the problem. Right? So you might say, well, I'm justified in talking about it, and I'm justified in thinking about it. That's okay. But if you don't handle it properly, it'll cause you to forget Krishna. And so negative things can absorb us. And there's some devotees that like negative things. That's what attracts them. So they get very absorbed in the negative. Like to find out what's going wrong with somebody. Look at the news. Why is there no good news on the news? Are all the things that are going on in the world bad? And what is the news full of? You would make, if you just landed on this planet, read the newspaper, you would probably think there's nothing good in this world. It's kind of funny when you think about it. The newspaper is so full of bad news, and everybody still inspired to enjoy. Right? I'm very inspired to enjoy, even though there's bad news everywhere. Yes?
But Prabhupada always keep this line in all his books, like nothing good here and material world.
Yeah.
So it's kind of depressive, but actually it's all the books full of this line. It's everywhere about it.
Yeah, well, we could ask the question, is it depressing? If everywhere you read, if you're in Krishna consciousness, it's not depressing because you're not in that world. Because actually, if you're in Krishna consciousness, because you're not in that world, reading those things makes you feel good that you're not in that world, doesn't it? But it makes you feel good that I'm getting out of that world. So, non-devotees will say, well, you Hare Krishnas, you say so many negative things, and we don't feel that way. They feel that way. And I know a lot of so-called spiritual teachers, they talk about a lot of positive things. It's another day, appreciate the sunrise, appreciate the air, the gift you have. And it's all about how you're going to enjoy this day. It's like Shantaras or less. And that's what people like to hear. Appreciation and God's gifts and so forth. So Prabhupada comes along and he says something different. But Prabhupada's point is that that's what Krishna says, so that's what I say. I say what Krishna says. And another point of Prabhupada's saying is, well, it's just true. So why should I say it? If it's not true, why should if something isn't true, why should I say it? I should say what's true. And the other thing is that unless you understand this, there's nothing that would arouse your impetus to practice spiritual life seriously. A lot of people practice spiritual life who don't really focus on the negative aspects of the world, but they don't practice it in the way we do, in such a renounced way. Because to be renounced, you need some reason to be renounced, right? Like I'm a hippie, I'm enjoying life, getting high, going out with my friends, going out with my girlfriends, playing music. Then I go to the Hare Krishna temple. The first lecture. You're suffering. And I go, who are you talking to? Talking to me? Not me. It was so interesting, my experience. Let me just tell you a little story about how I became a devotee, and it relates to this point. I have a very devious mentality. You have to be careful when you're around me. Read my hands. You're devious. So I told the school I was working, and if you tell them you're working, you can take less classes. So I didn't want to take so many classes. So I told them I was working. So one of the classes was Bhagavad Gita given by devotees. So the only homework was read Bhagavad Gita. And I read the Bhagavad Gita twice that semester, but there was no written homework, so it didn't take long. And then I had a music class, which was like a half hour of homework a day, and an hour, 3 hours a week of, it was like 5 hours a week maybe. I had an English class, which was maybe 7 hours a week. And then going, the Gita, so I had like maybe 15 hours a week. That was my schedule. It's pretty cool, right? It's like 3 hours a day, school, class, and study, basically, at the most. And I don't even think I did that much. I don't think I went to all the classes. And my parents paid for everything. And I had a car, an apartment, and a guitar, which I played all the time. And I lived by the campus in one of the most coolest, liberalist towns in all America, where everybody was like totally cool. Sound good?
Surfboard there.
What?
Surfboard also there.
And then I come to the Hare Krishna temple. Now they were giving Bhagavad Gita class, but these were all young devotees. They didn't know a lot. So basically, every class they would say, you're suffering. The basic philosophy, you're suffering. You're not this body. Part and parcel of Krishna. Don't live like a dog. And that was like the basic lecture, and a couple points from the verse, but they didn't know that much, so that was always... And every time they'd say, you're suffering, I'd say, no, I'm not. I got like 2-3 hours a day of classes. I got the rest of the day free. I don't have to work. My parents pay for everything. Anything I need, I can call them up. They'll send me the money. As long as I get good grades, they're happy. I live in a house with 5 of my friends. It's the life. I'm living the life. I go back to the temple. You're suffering. This is going on. After about 6 weeks, I finally understood. Because everybody in that town, nobody looked like they're suffering. Everybody looked they're happy. It was just like a liberal, hippie college. So, if I didn't realize I was suffering, how could I become a devotee? If I just thought, no, you're wrong, I'm not suffering, everything's good. Where would the impetus be to give up drugs, to give up sex, to give up meat eating, to give up gambling, to shave my head, get up at 4 o'clock? I was going to bed at 3 in the morning, and now I'm going to get up at 4 o'clock. Where's the impetus for that going to come from? Does that make sense? So, to not let people know that they're suffering is a great disservice. It's like Vaisheshika, when he distributes a book, if you don't want a book, a polite way of saying it in America would be to say, I'm good. Here, would you like one? No, I'm good. I'm good means I don't need it. So Vaisheshika Prabhu says, you can be better. So that's the polite way of saying you're suffering. So you're here, Krishna consciousness is here, and if you want to get here, you're going to have to do some things that you may not like to get here. It's easier if down here you feel like it's not so good. There's more of an impetus. Right? What's the reason? Imena wants to know what's the reason. The reason is you won't be happy without Krishna. And to get Krishna, you have to renounce. And Krishna is just trying to teach us through the material world that all our efforts to be happy, they don't work. They never did and they never will. And that's why Prabhupada, he would always say, give this one life to Krishna. Like, you've already done everything already, so just give this one to Krishna. So Prabhupada was trying to make us realize it's not hard to renounce if you understand everything you're renouncing you've done 1,000,000 times. Right? Yes? You've done it not 1,000,000, 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion, 1 trillion. We've done it. Yes? So then Prabhupada said, if it doesn't work, at the end of this life it doesn't work, then you can go back to your material life in the next life. So he just wanted to get us to, like, in this consciousness, to give this life to Krishna. Just like somehow or other, move everything out of the way and give this life to Krishna. That's what Prabhupada wanted us to do. Because he knew if we did it, we would become Krishna conscious. The process works. And so you have to get rid of all this other stuff so you can do it. Right? Isn't it? Because if you can't focus your mind on it because you still have something you're thinking you're going to get from this world, it's going to be difficult. So, this life, give it to Krishna. If it doesn't work, you'll have another life. And you can do whatever you want. That was Prabhupada's appeal to us. Sound good? Are you ready? On your mark, get set. Give your life to Krishna. This life. You'll have another life. Don't worry. Oh, but I'm giving up so much. You can get it back in the next life if it doesn't work. And you've already done it 1,000,000 times. What's the problem? One life. That's the idea. Any questions? Any buts? Butt questions? But Prabhu, it's so difficult. No, it's not difficult. Material life is difficult. You have it backwards. Oh, but Krishna consciousness, it's so difficult. No, it's not. Material life is difficult. Krishna consciousness is blissful. When you say Krishna consciousness is difficult, what you're really saying is, I'm not Krishna conscious, and I'm trying to be. That's why it's difficult. But when you're Krishna conscious, it's not difficult. Material life's difficult. How difficult is material life? Try to enjoy something. Go for it. See if you can enjoy it. Well, I got married and, it wasn't really what I thought it was going to be. Okay, try it again. Divorce her and get another one. Well, I tried that and it's kind of like the first marriage. Well, you could try it again. Okay, it's a good idea. We'll try it again. Well, this time is a little better, but not what I was expecting. Okay, try to make a lot of money. So this is the way Maya works, right? Then you do that. Well, I finally made it, I destroyed myself making it. I was totally stressed out. Finally made it. But didn't work. That's difficult, isn't it? That life is difficult. At least I find it difficult myself. I find, personally, I found this before I was a devotee. Maybe I'm different. Maybe I'm fortunate. But what I found, before I was a devotee and after I was a devotee, the most difficult thing in life was to make me happy. That was so hard. I just could never figure out how to make me happy. Because I got the new bicycle, and it was cool, and 3 days I'm riding it around, and it's shiny, and I'm feeling good. But the 4th day, I'm still the same old me I was before. Do you have that experience? Like that, it made me happy for a while, but, still, my friend next door has a better bicycle, and I'm envious. It's so hard to be happy. In a Krishna consciousness, it's not hard to be happy. So we say, oh, Krishna consciousness is so hard. It's not hard. Material life is hard. You have it backwards. Material life is really hard. Yes? Krishna Govinda.
Where is the edge of attachment? Because many devotees, they get attached to something, and then they get...
Oh, at what age did you become detached? Is that the question? Never.
With some attachment arises expectations.
Yeah.
How to be attached so that you would not be getting pain after that?
How to be detached so you won't have expectations?
Which mood, which mindset has to be there in the application of attachment?
It's intelligence. Intelligence has to be sharp, functioning on a high level. Because low intelligence means, I've done this activity many, many times, and it didn't work. Let me do it again. Maybe it'll work this time. That's low intelligence. And we can see that's the way the material world works, because unless it works that way, why would we still be here? So anyone who's still here has a problem with their intelligence. Right? It's like when you read Prabhupada's books, how do you feel? You feel intelligent, don't you? After you read his books, you feel like, hey, I feel intelligent now. Isn't it? I feel like I can actually see things as they are. Right? And so Maya's position is just cloud it, make it cloudy. So you see something, but you're not really seeing it as it is. You're seeing it as you want to see it. So I say, this will make you happy, and you say, no, it will make me happy. Why do you say that? Because you want it to make you happy. Because you're optimistic about it making you happy. And that's why you see it that way. So with intelligence, you'll see it as it is. Now, if you're attached to something, then you have to use it for Krishna. So whatever it is, I like to do this, do it for Krishna. It's just, we don't want to be engaged in sense gratification, so everything has to be for Krishna. If you want to love Krishna, go back to Godhead. But you see, the thing is, if you just have this one thought, as Prabhupada said, this life, give it to Krishna, that's very easy. You know, it's like if I say, let's go for a run, and you say, well, how far are we running? I'll say, we're just running to the end of the street. You say, okay, I can do that. But if I say, I don't know, we're just going to run, and then you'll think, well, I don't know if I want to come. So Prabhupada's saying, we're just running to the end of the street. Just one life. And you're thinking, oh, one life, that's a long time. And Prabhupada's saying, that's nothing. Snap. So, let's do a little meditation now. Meditate on 100 bodies. 100 bodies. Imagining 100 bodies you may have had. Now imagine 1,000 bodies. Now imagine 1,000,000. Now imagine 1,000,000,000. What's next after 1,000,000,000? A zillion? Trillion. Now imagine 1,000,000,000,000 bodies. And then what? Is a zillion? Is that even? A zillion is a word? Somebody... Is it in the dictionary? Somebody said it's not a word. It's not actually a number. Anyway, a zillion sounds good, right? Imagine is quadrillion. Quadrillion. Okay, it's a lot of bodies, right? Now imagine one body. One life. Not very much. Right? Just one. So when Prabhupada says just one, that's what he's thinking. Quadrillions of bodies, just give one. It's not much. And if you think like that, then it's easy. Because you're thinking, we're only running to the corner. It's only one life. That's all. Yes, but here comes the but question.
That's initially. Then we say Janana, Janama, Koi, A, and Tua. Then we say lifetime after.
Yeah, but if you're in that consciousness, then life after life you'll be a devotee. So no problem. It's our great pleasure to come back and preach Krishna consciousness, if that's what Krishna wants. Because we're coming back not to enjoy the world. You see, here's the thing. We came into this world to enjoy this world. Yes? If you want to get out of the world, you have to reverse the process. Which is, I don't enjoy the world, Krishna enjoys it. That's how you get out. Just reverse, you got in like this, so you get out like that. Reverse the process. You hit the reverse button. The button that got us in was, I want to enjoy. The button that gets you out is Krishna's the enjoyer. Simple, right?
So easy to say, but this.
Well, at least we have to talk about it. You want to get out? That's the way you get out. Now the problem is that all these bogus religions, they want to get out and they want to enjoy at the same time.
Hence, in my head I was just thinking, then adopting the consciousness of if Krishna wants you to come back and preach, you can, so then it's like renouncing your ticket out on one level and you're accepting birth again.
But you only think that way when you're realized.
Yeah.
So then it's normal, natural. Otherwise, no. Because otherwise, if you think, oh, Krishna, I'll come back and preach, you'll come back and who knows what you'll do.
Because material word's scary. That's like,
It'll
hey, I don't want to birth after birth because it's so hellish here.
Yeah, it's like going to a shopping mall. Who knows what you'll buy? It's only if you go in the shopping mall and you don't want to buy anything, you're okay. If you got a chunk of cash in your pocket and a crazy mind, who knows what you'll buy? So the devotee can't pray, oh Krishna, I want to come back and preach, if they have material desire, because that's dangerous. When they have no material desire, then that's a natural prayer.
That's a nice analogy.
What, the shopping mall?
The shopping mall, yeah.
Is that all right? You don't like that? It's okay? Yeah. This life, one life, give it to Krishna. You ready? Makes Krishna consciousness a lot easier than thinking, I'll see how it goes, I'll see if I'm happy. Try it out. Why can't you enjoy and still be Krishna conscious? You can. But enjoyment means satisfying Krishna. That's enjoyment. That's intelligence. Enjoyment means satisfying Krishna. That's intelligence. Enjoyment means satisfying me. That's foolish. So, if you're smart, you'll understand. Enjoyment means serving Krishna. Only sannyasis? Prabhupada said, not attached enough that you take another body. Prabhupada said his grihastas were more renounced than his sannyasis. Because they were living with family and they're engaging everything in Krishna's service. So they were more renounced. So renunciation in family life means use everything for Krishna. You don't think your husband is meant to be enjoyed by you. You don't think your wife is meant to be enjoyed by you. You are meant to serve them. Your house is your temple. Your money is Krishna's. Then it's okay. Naturally, you're going to be attached to your husband and your children. but not attached to the idea that you're the enjoyer. Prabhupada said, if you're attached, if a devotee is attached to their children, the attachment should come out in making them Krishna conscious. That's how you show your attachment. But ordinary mother wants the children to serve them. Or wants them to be what she wants them to be. Does that make sense? Yes?
In the Krishna consciousness movement, after marriage, very often the mood of the devotees who married changes, and they fall into the sense gratification.
Yes.
So, because most of us Kanishka Adhikari can maintain the proper level, so it means like it's not auspicious marriage.
What is it?
How to deal with it? And if one partner like strict, the second one is not strict, and he complaining why my wife not over.
Oh yeah. What to do?
Yeah. Fall down for some time, or
This is the conversation you're supposed to have before you get married.
but mood can change.
Oh, the
after
mood
anyway.
changes, yeah.
Yeah. Before everybody knows it, and can because there are no object to attach senses like it's so close.
What to do? You have three choices. 1, suffer. 2, suffer. And 3, suffer.
What to choose in this way?
That sounds pretty negative, doesn't it?
It's very negative.
Okay, let's give a positive answer. 1, beat him up. 2, beat him up. And 3, beat him up.
And then divorce. Because you need to fulfill his senses.
1, divorce. 2, divorce. 3, divorce. Come. Maybe we should ask Shama Mandali for the answer. Okay, the answer that I give in all these situations is discuss this, talk about it. And the thing is, you have a responsibility to your partner to be a good example of Krishna consciousness. You have a responsibility to help them go up. So if you're trying to pull them down so you can enjoy, then you're not actually being a husband or a wife. And so you as an individual need to feel that way. And if your spouse doesn't feel that way, you need to talk to him or her and say, look, this is the way we intended it, so let's discuss how we can do it that way. And then your next question is, what if you talk to them and they don't listen? Is that your next question?
Yeah.
Or they don't agree? It's going to be different in every situation. We'd have to see. Sometimes what I suggest is that somebody that person respects talks to them. So because they won't listen to you, they'll listen to somebody. Okay? Is that good? So we can stop here? I have your permission. My chariot has arrived, along with my chariot driver. So, we were planning to go to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house tomorrow morning. I was overly exhausted this morning, and I got up and my body was aching head to toe, so I didn't come this morning. So I hope I'll be okay. I was sleep deprived for a while, so I hope I'll be okay. So if I'm not there, then excuse me, but I will try to be there. And then if you want to come, we'll go cross the Jalangi and chant our japa. Yeah.
You'll come back before Bhagavatam?
We try, yeah, we'll just chant. We're just basically walk there, and I'm not exactly sure how
Through
far.
the river?
520. Panchatattva 520. Okay?
You're walking by the road and then cross the river in Sarupganj? I think it's on the road.
Not Surupganj.
This Ganj.
The Tarampur Road Ganj.
It's other road.
We walk up past Mars Gokul, and you can walk up if you want. Okay? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. Haribol.